What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video at JDH Aquatics where we talk about anything aquariums related. So it's been about 1 month since we've moved into our new apartment and I wanted to give you guys an update on the reef tanks and how they've been doing. If you've been watching the videos or you follow me on Instagram, then you know that for the past year and a half or so, I had the Fiji Cube 38-gallon Peninsula, and that tank is no longer with us, so that's kind of, I guess, the biggest thing that's new about this setup is that we don't have the 38-gallon anymore, and I actually did just sell it last week, so that tank is no longer with us. So how did the corals respond after the move? Honestly, after a couple of days, they adjusted to the new tanks, and it was essentially like doing a big water change. So when we took all of the coral out from the 38-gallon, that's kind of where we had everything stationed. When we were ready to move, we were going to take everything out of the 38 and spread it across all of the tanks. When we did that, all of the tanks were already set up. So they had a little bit of the old water from the previous tanks as well as a bunch of new salt water. We had all of the rock that was in the 38 gallons still with the live bacteria, and then we added in new sand. So it was kind of like a cleanup, I guess, and a big water change, and then putting in all of the corals. They responded very well. We did wait about 3 or so weeks until we added fish, so we wanted to make sure that the salinity was completely leveled out across all of the tanks, and we wanted to get a couple of other things adjusted, but after that we did add in a few fish. In the 30-gallon long, we wanted there to be a lot of community fish in this tank. I wanted a bunch of small gobies, maybe some chromis, and other types of saltwater, community reef fish that are safe with corals and they're not going to be aggressive towards each other. So on this side over here, we did add in a fire goby. This guy's been a real nice addition. The first couple of days he was a little shy, kind of hiding behind rocks, but I see this fish out 24/7 now, and he's always out looking for food. Very nice colors, a decent size too. He's about 2.5, maybe even 3 inches. And he's got a huge dorsal fin on him, so this fish has been a great addition. And then over here on this side, I have a clown goby. This guy's a little bit smaller. He's closer to maybe 2 inches, but he's also been a great addition. I've never seen this fish hide. He's also out always looking for food, and he's usually perched up on one of these toadstools at the bottom. I do see him sometimes in the sinule areas, but he loves that toadstool on the left, and I have a feeling that's the reason why it's always closed, but he's been a really awesome fish, and I love to see this thing just chill out and perch up on the coral. Moving on next to the left, we've got the 6-gallon Pico. This is going to be our mangrove tank. We also are planning on adding some more coral, but we'll get into that a little bit later. What we did add to this tank is a cleaner shrimp. So this guy usually just hangs out on the rocks, waits for food, and every time I drop it in, he smells it immediately and goes for it. I've never really seen him do anything besides hang on the rocks like that, which is honestly kind of exactly what I wanted him to do. I do plan on getting him a second, or I guess I plan on getting a second shrimp and getting him a friend, so hopefully they'll pair up, who knows. But we did move the Gorgonia to the front, and we've got a couple little frags of star polyps in there. But again, we'll get into the plans for this tank at the end, but this tank has been awesome, and the shrimp has been a great addition. And lastly, the 20-gallon. This is the tank that I kind of wanted to get fish for the most. We did end up getting a designer pair of clownfish because I want to do softies as well as anemones in this tank, and I wanted a pair of clownfish to host them. I do plan on adding another fish in this tank as well, but we'll talk about that later. These are nearly naked black ice or black ghost, something like that. But they're designer clownfish, and they weren't super expensive, but these are the most expensive clownfish I've ever bought, and they've been really awesome. They are paired up. There's a larger female on the right and then the male on the left. They're a little bit darker, and it seems like they've actually gotten darker in color than when I first got them, which has only been a few weeks, but they do have some orange on their underbelly. They've got a nice little like broken bar across their head, and then the rest of them is pretty much completely black. So very interesting color pattern on these fish, but they've been doing really good. They seem healthy, and I love watching them swim. So since we do have new setups, that means we don't have all the same equipment that we did in the old reef corner. And it's not like we had a lot of equipment running to begin with, but we did take some stuff out. So for the 30-gallon, even though this tank wasn't set up, everything that we had running the 38-gallon we used for this tank. but we did not bring over a couple pieces of equipment. The SCP-70 gyre pump from JBow we did not use for this tank, as well as the JBow SLW-10 powerhead. And we did not use the Smart Micro ATO. We're doing manual top off for all the tanks. I'm kind of just keeping it to the side just in case I go on vacation and I need to set it up for one of the tanks, but we are doing manual top off for all of these aquariums. And same for the 20 gallon, we had a generic power head in there that we ended up taking out. I don't want any sort of propellers in this tank, so no power heads. If I do need more flow for the anemones that we add, I'll just upgrade the return pump and maybe add some oscillators in there as well. I need to try to do some research on a power head that's safe for anemones. I know they make guards for certain power heads, but I need to do research on which ones those are. But for now, I think there is enough flow, at least for the softies. And again, if we need more flow for the nems, we can just upgrade the return pump. So all in all, everything has been doing really good. Pretty much everything has survived. There were a couple small frags that we lost, like a hammer frag, as well as like a couple random softy frags. But we did not take those over. But everything else has been doing great. All the fish and inverts have been doing well. I've been counting all of the Nasarius snails in each of the tanks, and I don't think we've even lost one. So that's been kind of cool. Let's go over some future plans for these tanks, because we do have some ideas in mind. So near future plans, you guys have heard me talk about it. For the 20 gallon, we want to add some rose bubble tip anemones in there for the clownfish. And I think I do want to get a goby or a blenny for this tank as well. I think they'll do okay with the clownfish, and they should be okay with the anemones. And I want something that's going to stir up the sand bed a little bit, so we might add one fish to that tank. For the 6 gallon pico, I do want to add another shrimp in there. I was thinking about doing rock flower nems, however, I decided on doing mushrooms. I think I want to add singular, like one head mushrooms to the sand bed and just do a variety of different colors and see how that looks. I think adding color to the sand bed will make it pop from the top, and I think it'll be a cool top-down view for filming. So that's kind of the idea I have for this tank, and I think I'm going to stick with the cleaner shrimp as well and just get a second one. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below on that. And finally, for the 30 gallon, as you guys can see on that back, we've got some very hair algae filled frag racks, but we do want to fill those up with some LPS and SPS. The larger one here on the left side, that is going to be used for euphyllias. So for the LPS, I want to focus on euphyllias and just get some torches and hammers that we can put up there. As well as for the right frag rack, we want to focus on some SPS, some very entry-level SPS. And aside from that, just a few more fish to really fill this tank out. I'm thinking a couple of more gobies and some chromis, but I'm still kind of on the fence about that. But I think, you know, maybe 4 to 5 more fish. I think this thing will really be filled out and looking good. We may need to throw a skimmer on this tank, but we are doing those weekly water changes. So I think as long as we keep doing that, we should be good. As for far future plans, there's really not much I want to change. I think I might want to switch up the light over the mangroves and the 6 gallon and make it all one light. That'll light up the aquarium as well as the mangroves. So that's one idea that I want to do, as well as the big one. This is setting up a 4th tank and using that for strictly the LPS and SPS once it outgrows the frag racks in the 30 gallon. But that's a little bit down the line. We don't even have the coral yet, so I'm not going to focus on the tank quite yet, but that is kind of a far future idea that I want to throw under the 20 gallon right now. We do have another board that can go on the bottom of that stand, and it can hold another 20 gallons. So I'm thinking of doing a 20 gallon LPS SPS tank. But again, that's kind of far in the future. But we do have some small little plans we want to do here and there. So stay tuned for that. But with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Of course, if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments down below, or you can DM me on my Instagram. The link is also in the description below. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.